Hello, beautiful people. I am Alex Catano with another episode of Movies with Alex. Even though it's not a movie, it's a TV show. But, there's not that many good movies or TV shows that interest me to watch at the moment. I did watch Cobra Kai, but I kind of want to marathon through those once we get closer to a new season. Spoiler alerts for Cobra Kai fans. But because that's one of my favorite shows today, probably my favorite show right now. And yeah, I kind of want to wait on that and make a separate video going through every season, seasons 1 through 4, and then eventually the future number 5 whenever that comes out. So stay tuned for that whenever that comes out. But yeah, let's talk about Dexter New Blood now. Dexter, the original series, it was a very well written show. Definitely not perfect, but it was a different take on a show about a serial killer who kills other serial killers that fit the code, and he has a dark passenger because of his past. And it was well written, and the characters were great. It was pretty much it was like a really rated R version of Law and Order. And I usually don't like that kind of shows, but this one worked because it was so different from other shows. And then no one's really tried to replicate it because this was kind of like its own thing. But over time, Dexter just became irrelevant, and other shows were picking up like Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead. No one really cared about Dexter anymore. And then they just tried to wrap up the season, and then when that show wrapped up, it was so bad. And they brought the show back just to try to redeem how because of how awful season 8 was and how disappointing people were. But let's just talk about it. Let's talk about Dexter New Blood. And pretty much it starts back with spoiler alerts for anybody who didn't catch that, but pretty much we're gonna go through the whole season of Dexter New Blood. Pretty much the show starts with Dexter just living in the snow. He's not a lumberjack, but he's just out there in the woods living in upper LA, and I think it was Grand City Oaks. I think the name of the city was. Anyways, he's off and just like not really around anybody. He goes by Jim Lindsay, which is the name inspired by the creator of the show, Jeff Lindsay. So there's that, and I like how they tease. By the way, I did not see any trailers leading up to this, so all I knew was that Dexter was coming back. So it really caught me off guard. I did rewatch the trailer after I watched the pilot, and Jesus, I'm so glad I did that because if you watch the trailers for Dexter, Showtime is worse than Sony when it comes to spoiling in the trailers. But they pretty much gave away the whole episode. Just saying that Showtime, don't do commercials. Just stop it. Just tell people what's coming out, and just get people excited that way. Anyways, when he gets stopped by a police officer, and then we find out later, like seconds later, that was actually his girlfriend, Angela, who is played by Julia Jones, who's more notably noticed for Twilight, but this is definitely going to be her breaking point. She was definitely one of the highlights of the entire show. But anyways, Jim Lindsay is just down to earth guy. He works at a gun store. He's just doing his own thing, not really bothering anybody. He's not even killing. He hasn't killed in forever, and because part of that is because Harry is no longer in his mind. Instead, it's his sister, Deborah Morgan, played by Jennifer Carpenter once again. And that was a good twist. I kind of liked Deborah being the ghost that Dexter talks to. Because I think Harry's story kind of got like old, and it's nice to see somebody else that he gets to talk to. Anyways, he is just kind of like just middle of the earth guy, and he's just doing his own thing. People like him. He likes the people, except for this guy named Matt Cardwell, who is just like the town bully. He always makes people feel bad. He constantly bullies his best friend. He even takes the girl that his other friend really liked. All of this stuff, and even well, we'll get to that part, but he's just not a likable dude. And then Jim is pretty much just doing his own thing, and then eventually he gets caught by a surprise as Harrison returns, an older Harrison, a teenager, played by Jack Alcott. Harrison comes back and tracks down Dexter, his father, who he found out is not dead after that. I don't know how Dexter survived that boat accident. But anyways, um, and at first he tells him, "I'm not Dexter. You got the wrong guy. Here's some money. There's gonna be a good place for you to sleep, but I'm not the guy." And then, he just kind of wants to go back to his life, but after seeing Harrison dealing with this asshole Matt Cardwell, it's just like it just clicked, and he is back after Matt kills a deer. Dexter. Oh, by the way, he goes to this party, and we find out that Matt is responsible for the killing of a few families in a boat accident, and his friend was the one that had to take the blame, and he got, and pretty much you saw how horrible Matt really was, and then anyways, after Matt killed the deer, uh, Jim or Dexter knocks out Matt, and then you hear the narration. It's been a long time, and that pretty much told you Dexter, the serial killer, is back. And what was so cool is that up to that point there was no narration like in the typical seasons. Where you have Dexter narrating throughout the show, and I was like, why is there no narrating? And it makes sense to bring the narration once he's ready to kill. Once again, he kills Matt and then buries him, and then because his girlfriend is a cop, she's also investigating. She's pretty much this version's Deborah Morgan, just like a cop that's just in it all the time. She's not a quitter, and we'll get more to that part, but in doing so, Dexter realizes that he can't kill again, so he keeps Harrison around. We find out that Hannah died of cancer. There's a theory that he killed that Harrison actually killed Hannah, but later we find out that's not true. And I'm kind of glad that theory was not true, because that wouldn't make any fucking sense. If in a future spinoff we find out that Harrison killed Hannah, like I'm gonna vomit. It just wouldn't make sense for the character. But anyways, Harrison's like feeling like he's like at home. Over time he grows, and he has a good story heading into like the finale. But anyways, Dexter's trying to hide Matt's body, and then Kurt, his the father of Matt, is trying to get the city to be back at him, and then on his back, and then he lies about how he saw him online, that like, oh, we FaceTimed just a second ago, and yeah, my son's alive, I'm so happy. But it turns out he's lying, and I'm like, why would he lie? And turns out that he's been a killer all along. Kurt's the one killing innocent women in this village, and for years Angela's been after this killer. And I remember the first time we see the killer, we all thought it was gonna be this guy, what was his name, I forgot his name, but he's pretty much like the political guy that nobody likes, or mainly he's played by Frederick Lynchy, Edward Olsen. We all thought it was gonna be him, but then he just disappears. He's in the show for like 4 episodes and he just disappears. So that storyline with him and Audrey not liking each other, it went nowhere, and it was kind of fucking pointless, if you ask me. And then speaking of Audrey is Angela's adopted daughter, who after father passed, or he left, I think he passed. Yes, he passed. And then she easily forms a bond with Harrison, new guy, and Harrison's like a type of kid that's like doesn't let anybody walk all over him. He's a very smart kid. He's just like this top of the world guy, and he stands up for the underdogs, like Ethan, who we find out has kind of like a dark mind and he wants to kill people. And then that's when Harrison gets the chance to frame him and gets a feeling after hearing a podcast by the Trinity Killer. So Harrison is just, he has this evil in him where he just doesn't know how to control it. He even breaks people's arm in a wrestling match. He's just out of control. But um, we move on to another part of the story where um, Dexter's trying to hide the body. He just kind of want to move on from this, and then as Angela's trying to figure out the killer, she gets advice from Angel Batista after a cop convention to kind of not give up. And the second Angel Batista popped into the show, I was like, I think this is going to go south immediately. And it kind of did, and it kind of didn't. Here's why. Angel Batista, it looked like he was just going to be a cameo. Like, oh, look, remember him? He was in the original show. And then he says that, like, he's talking to Angela, and he's like, you know what? You remind me of Deborah Morgan. Great cop, never quit her. And then Angela, can you bring her? No, unfortunately, she died, and her brother, too. Yeah, and then that son. Cute kid, what was his name? I forgot. Walks away, and he's like, oh, yeah, his name is Harrison. Cute kid. Which I thought was so fucking stupid. It was just like, no. That is not how that works. I thought it was so silly how that came to be. And I just didn't like how that turned out. And I think it deserved like a better payoff for me. I thought the payoff was just silly. And when that happened, at the same time, uh, after Harrison saves people at the school from getting murdered, they throw a party. Harrison gets drugged, and he gives away that Jim Lindsay's not really the real name, and Audrey gets scared and confused, and then the whole story just flips its head around, like, oh, you know, Angela's investigating on these missing women, and then all of a sudden, hey, by the way, Dexter Morgan is still alive, and then Audrey is now investigating on Dexter Morgan, Jim Lindsay, her boyfriend, and it's just like a really weird twist, and then and I like how they kind of it did work. Like I was like, okay, that was just kind of random, but then it kind of clicked again on the next episode, which I think was the best one of all of them, where we kind of have a great balance of Kurt kind of being the father figure of Harrison, the one that Harrison never had and still doesn't connect with because Dexter is pulling back on some of the stories. And similar to that story of like when he goes to Audrey, like, why did you not pretend, or why did you pretend to be some random guy named Jim Lindsay? Or why didn't you just stick to Dexter Moore? He's like, because that wasn't me anymore. I felt horrible. I lost my wife. I lost my ex. I lost my sister. I lost everybody I loved, and I just wasn't happy. So I left and became Jim. So he pulled back. He never brought up anything of the killing, and I thought that was great work. And then as he's trying to figure out who was the one that reported her, it was actually, he finds out about this podcaster, Molly Park, who has this show called Mary Fucking Kill. And she pretty much goes and talks about serial killers such as the Ice Killer, the Bay Harbor Butcher, Trinity Killer, all of these stories that even Dexter knows about. And then that's where she's trying to talk to Kurt about possibly trying to find this guy who's killed these missing women. And then literally, Kurt is ready to kill Molly. And then Dexter, for the save, he finds Kurt's killer room with the cameras and the bath, and it was just pretty funny, and it was just like the right amount of like serious and comedic, and it was like, oh, that's sweet. Dexter saves Molly, and then we move on, and we have Harrison and Dexter trying to bond. They go to therapy. Dexter again pulling back. Harrison is trying to tell the truth, but he just can't. And then this leads to them uh, trying to find a bond, and then it took literally Kurt trying to kill Harrison to have Dexter save Harrison, and then they finally tell the truth. He tells him everything about the code and everything about him killing people, and now he's ready to kill Kurt, and they both together team up to try to kill Kurt. And in doing so, we find out that um, what's his face? Uh, uh, I'm spacing out. Logan, not Logan. Kurt has this like all the this trophy collection of all the women he killed, and one of them happens to be Molly Park, and I was so devastated because she was like a very good character, and I really liked her, and I was like, oh wow, what a way to go out, poor her, like dang, like and imagine like a podcaster like, damn, what happened to her? You think she got killed? Like imagine people like who follow her like, damn, what happened to her? That is insane, but it's like how it goes, unfortunately. But you know what? When Kurt got killed, it was like so refreshing. Like yes, someone deserved it, and naturally that feels like the wrap up of a season. But then we got one more episode left, and it was on Christmas Day where, by the way, Kurt burns down the house of Dexter or Jim, whatever, and then Angela finds out, gets this letter saying Jim Lindsay killed Matt Cardwell, and this kind of all culminates because Angela does like so much in this show. Like she is investigating on these missing women, and then she figures out about Dexter Morgan. She has senses that he may be the Bay Harbor Butcher after all. She finds two dead drug dealers that Dexter took care of. One of them he beat the crap out of. One of them he killed after an overdose, but they both had that like pinch stab needle. And then the final episode, I was scared because the final episode could have gone left or right, and it could have either saved the show or it could have ended the show in a bad sour taste. And let's just go over it. I think that there was a lot of rush things this entire season, but this was still a lot of fun. They have pretty much the whole show is Dexter in jail, and Angela's asking questions. We go back to Angel Batista, and he calls or Angela calls Angel, talks about like, hey, what is the story with the Bay Harbor Butcher? Yeah, it was a guy by the name of Dokes. He was my colleague, but like, was there ever investigations of somebody else being it? And then they're like, yeah, actually, my ex-wife, and chief, uh, thought it was some guy named Dexter Morgan, but Dexter Morgan's been dead for years. And then he sees the picture on the email, and it was so weird. It was like so awesome to see Angel's like reaction, like, oh my god, Dexter's alive, and I couldn't wait for that reaction to happen, like that interaction of Angel and Dexter meeting up for the first time. I thought it was gonna happen sooner, and turns out it never did, because next up, Dexter gives up Kurt to Angela, and in doing so, Dexter escapes jail by killing Logan, who was the wrestling coach and the police chief. He was like probably the best character, and Dexter had to kill him. And I was actually mad at Dexter. Like, you did not have to do that. I'm sorry, you did not. You had you did not have to kill him, and unfortunately he did. And then he calls Harrison after sleeping with Audrey one last time before he said goodbye. That's like a goodbye fling, I guess. But they called, and then he's like, "All right, meet me at this spot. We're gonna head out." And then we're leaving town. And then Harrison and Dexter, and this was probably the best scene of the entire season. Harrison and Dexter talking to each other, and Harrison really understanding, like, hey, listen, what you're doing is wrong. You kill innocent people. If you weren't a serial killer, mom would have still been alive. Deborah would have still been alive. And then they go back through everybody who were killed, innocent people who were killed because of Dexter's actions. And Dexter realizes, yeah, you're right. And there's only one way to get out of this. And then Dexter says, "You gotta shoot me." And Dexter dies. Harrison shoots Dexter, and he dies. Angela catches them, was supposed to arrest Harrison, but instead she says, "Run away, drive off, here's some money. I didn't see you, leave." And Dexter's dead on the floor. Angela is gonna say that Dexter was trying to kill her, and then from there, that's it. That's the end of the show. And the rumor is that they're gonna do a spinoff with Harrison, which I think everybody predicted, but I personally don't want to see it. And there's talks of it still be called Dexter New Blood. Um, I don't know what's the story, but I don't think this should have been the direction it went. I think what should have happened was that when Harrison, instead of shooting Dexter, he shoots maybe somebody else, maybe not Angela, but maybe somebody, a different cop or just an extra or whatever. And then they run away together, and then little by little, in like season two, you could have had like Dexter truly becoming evil because he just can't control the Dark Passenger anymore, and then Harrison is the one that has to stop him. And it could have been this like really great dynamic. That is the direction that the show really would have gone. And this idea of just making it a miniseries just to lead to another spin-off is stupid. Why don't you just continue this story and then wrap it up? Because I felt like it was just too rushed. Like there was just too many other moments that were placed that never got a culmination. Like we never got Angel meeting Dexter, or even like Masuka and Quinn interacting. Frederick line was completely worthless to the whole season. They just need someone to be a prick for Audrey to hate. Um, and there was just like a lot of like stuff that could have like they could have used. Like imagine if like once Angel Batista got there, now Kate, or not Kate, I keep saying Kate, Angela Bischoff. I keep saying Kate because I think of Kate Bishop from the Hawkeye series. But Angela and Angel team up, and then they go on a tour to try to look for Dexter and Harrison, and then maybe even Audrey tries to escape because she wants because she has a bunch of questions, which I wouldn't be shocked if they bring back Audrey, like she leaves the town and then looks for Harrison, like why'd you leave? I just want some answers, and Harrison can't explain it. That pretty much is what's gonna happen, whether or not they continue with the show. But I don't know. I just felt like they weren't thinking straight. I don't know why Showtime has this habit of wanting to wrap up everything immediately. It's just like, no, you're like Showtime sleeps on money. To ask Game of Thrones, they could have kept going. They could have like literally like just tweaked some stuff up and then kept the season going. But no, they did not do that. And the same thing could be said about this show. It's red hot, and the first thing you do is you end it right there. Like no, you're sleeping on some money. You could have like kept this going for more seasons to come, and you just like if you already have a green light spin-off, why don't you just green light a season two with Dexter still alive? Like I don't know why you insisted on trying to remake the Breaking Bad series. So it's hard to rank this show because in one hand, like it's in like 8 out of 10, and then the finale almost drops it down to a 7 or even a 6. So because everything's just so wrapped up so fast, and it's just like give the show time to breathe, or even like have 2 more episodes just to freshen up everything that's going on. I mean, the original show had 12 episodes each season, and they should have done this. Instead, they try to do it with 10. I get it; it's a mini series, but come on, don't try to wrap up everything immediately. Just try to take little baby steps. Because by the time Harrison found out that Dexter is a serial killer, it was kind of like too late, and that moment at the end wasn't really earned. So I don't know. Maybe the show should have started with Harrison already knowing that Dexter Morgan was a serial killer. Like he could say like, "Oh, Hannah told me everything before she died. I know who you are, and I know what you're up to, and I just want to see if I could help some way," or something to that extent. I don't know. It's just like they just wanted to redeem themselves because of how awful season 8 was. In a way, they did in a start, but then, I mean, they wrapped up Dexter's story, but did they really need to wrap up Dexter's story immediately? It, I could have gone all the way until Dexter turned full evil, and then Harrison was the one to stop him. That would have been perfect writing right there. And then if you wanted to do a spin-off then that was the time to go, because now you're telling us that Harrison's gonna be the new Dexter Morgan without it feeling like earned. Like you kind of rushed everything, and you didn't spread out everything nicely. There were some misguided moments in a lot of parts, but I mean, you're still gonna have fun watching this season. I had definitely a lot of fun. It was just like one of those things where, like, if this ends badly, you're not gonna like it. So overall, I'm gonna give this I'm gonna have to give this like a 7 out of 10. That's being generous, almost like a 6.5 out of 10. But yeah, I'll go 7, just because it was still enjoyable. It still got you on the edge to see. You love the start. Just some of the ending mistakes and like all of the stuff that they did in those parts was not the greatest. So that's gonna be it for my review of Dexter New Blood. Let me know what you all think. It's me, Alex Catano, and we'll see you again very soon.